This tutorial is for the Tubular Bind Off. It's a nice bind off for ribbing, makes a nice invisible edge with a good amount of stretch. You have a choice when you're doing the bind off. You can do 4 setup rows, which give you a nice squishy, thicker edge, as in this sample, or you can skip the setup rows, which gives you a little bit of a flatter edge, as in the bottom of this sweater. If you want to skip the setup rows, go ahead and fast forward in this video to the sewn bind off. Otherwise, the 4 setup rows go as follows. You start by just knitting the knit stitches and slipping the purl stitches. So the first stitch is a knit the knits, and then slip the purls with the yarn in front. Knit the knits, and slip the purls. You're going to keep doing this all the way around. Knit the knits, and then slip the purls until you get to the end of your round. Now for row 2 of your round, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to slip the knits with the yarn in back, bring the yarn forward, and purl the purls. Bring the yarn back to slip the knit, up to purl the purl. Slip the knits and purl the purls. You're just going to do this all the way around your round 2. And then you're just going to repeat these 2 rows for a total of 4 setup rows. You'll be doing row 1 of knit the knits and slip the purls, and row 2 of slip the knits and purl the purls. Then you're ready for the sewn bind off portion. For this, you need to give yourself a tail that's about 4 times the circumference of your work. And we're going to mark these first stitches. Here I'm going to mark the first knit stitch. And this will make it easier when we go to join these to the end, at the end of the bind off. So the first step is to knit off and then go through the next knit stitch as if to purl, skipping the purl stitch. You work these in 2 sections. You kind of work with the 2 knit stitches and then you work with the 2 purl stitches. So now here, before I start the purl stitch portion, I'm going to mark the purl stitch. Again, just to make it easier when we get back around at the end of the bind off. So here I'm going to purl off this purl stitch, going in purlwise. Can be a little tricky to get in there at the beginning. And then sneak in between the knit and the purl stitch. And now I'm just going to grab the front of this leg of the purl stitch. Just slip right in there as if to knit, grabbing the front leg and pulling it all the way through to the back. That's it. We're just going to repeat this all the way around. So I'm on a knit row. I knit off and then go into the next knit stitch as if to purl. That's it for the 2 knit stitches. Now I'm going to work on the purl stitches. Purl off, sneak in between the knit and the purl, and then I'm going to grab the front leg of that purl stitch and start the process all over again. Now I'm working on a knit row, so I'm going to do the 2 knits, knit off, and go through that knit stitch as if to purl. And now I'm going to work on the 2 purl stitches. So purl off, sneak in between the knit and the purl, and then grab that front leg of the purl stitch and pull my yarn all the way through to the back. You do this all the way around until you get to the end. Here's my last 4 stitches. So I've knit off, go into that knit stitch as if to purl, and then I purl off, sneak in, grab the front leg of that purl stitch. Whoops, ooh, that was unfortunate. Okay, I'm just going to get these stitches back on my needle. Pretend like that didn't happen. And now I've worked these 2 stitches one time. I'm going to pick up these 2 stitches that I also worked once at the beginning, put them back on the needle. So here's my knit stitch. I'm going to slide it back on. Making sure that you've got it mounted properly with the leading leg in the front, and slide my purl stitch back on. Here I actually just mounted that backwards, but I'm going to take off my marker, and now I can flip that around so that the leading leg is in the front. And now I'm going to slide them back so I can work these final stitches. Same thing that I did before. I'm just going to knit off the knit, slip into that other knit from the purl side, and now I'm going to do the purls. Purl off the purl, slip in, and the last thing I need to do is grab the leg of this purl. Now I can let everything come off the needles, and I'm done. I just need to weave in my tail. And snip it off. And that's it. That's the tubular bind off. I hope you found this video helpful. It's a great bind off for ribbing. If you're interested in more information on bind offs, check out my deep dive on ribbing bind offs, as well as the how-to for the Hiya Hiya Grandma Stretchy Bind Off and Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off. All great bind offs for ribbing.